Maybe we just create space on the side. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, you all move forward. All of them will move forward. So the space. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu Smartakis, for joining us this Saturday. We are just a few days away from Janmashtami. So we thought on Janmashtami Day, it may be difficult for all of us to really hear carefully. Because normally during festivals it becomes very challenging. His Holiness Kavachandra Maharaj will be here, but he will have maybe about half an hour. So we were thinking that today may be a good chance for us to remember the Lord in terms of his wonderful pastime of Janmashtami. So that is what we want to do. Janmashtami celebrations are very nice and they are very special because the appearance of Krishna is so wonderful to understand. And it is not like in the movies, and it is not like what we have heard. If you really study Bhagavatam and you find how Srila Prabhupada has translated the purpose, then Krishna's transcendental coming into this world is really quite amazing. Pitamahame samare varanje deva vratagya itare stivindare duradyayam kaurava Shainyasagaram Kritvatmasanvan Sapadam Swayat Plavaha Draunashtravipuskam Idam Manangam Santana Bijam Kurbandavanam Jugopakukshim Gadaatta Chakro Matus Chameya Sharadam Katayaha Viryamitasya Kiladeha Bhajam Antarbahirpu Rushakala Rupai Prayaschato Mrityum Utamritam Cha Maya Manuyas Yavadasya Vidam. So Parikshit Maharaj chanted these beautiful prayers in the 10th canto, first chapter, between the verses of 5 to 7. They're very beautiful verses. And the translation is very nice. He says, he's speaking to Shukadeva Goswami. He tells Shukadeva Goswami, taking the boat of Krishna's lotus feet, my grandfather is remembering, my grandfather Arjuna and the others, like his other brothers, they all crossed the ocean of material. They crossed the ocean of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in which such commanders such as Bhishma Dev, they were very powerful, and they were like the great fishes Timingala. So Parikshit Maharaj is remembering at this moment how amazingly merciful is Krishna. He says in his prayer that Krishna is so kind that by his lotus feet and the shelter of his lotus feet, my grandfather Arjuna and my granduncles the Pandavas, they had so much difficulty in the Mahabharata war. It was very difficult for them because they were up against great generals like Bhishma Dev, and the strength of the Kaurava army was so powerful. They should not have actually won the war. They should not have on paper. But they are saying here that even though such great commanders like Bhishma Dev was there, they could easily have been swallowed by them. However, by the mercy of Lord Krishna, my grandfather crossed this ocean. He's remembering how, by the mercy of Krishna, someone like Arjuna, his grandfather, managed to cross this ocean, this battlefield, which was very difficult to cross. But it became very easy, just like one would cross the hoof print, right? Which is filled with water, and how easy it is for us to cross it. In the same way, the Pandavas could easily cross that difficult ocean, which is known as the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So this is a very important point for us to understand. The whole point of remembering Krishna's coming to this world is to appreciate His mercy. It's very important. And we can appreciate His mercy when we remember the greatness of His devotees. That is why Parikshit Maharaj is praying this way. Sometimes, we are very critical of devotees. We don't see their greatness. We don't see how much they are putting in as effort. And we're very quick to find fault with them. But you see consistently in Bhagavatam, all the prayers of the great devotees, they never just praise Krishna, but they always glorify the devotees too. So Maharaj Parikshit is remembering how glorious his uncles were, his granduncles were, as well as his grandfather. But he's also remembering the mercy of Krishna to make them cross over this difficult ocean. Then he remembers my mother. Who's the mother? Right? He remembers his mother. He says, my mother surrendered to Lord Krishna's lotus feet. And the Lord, with Sudarshan Chakra in hand, he entered the womb of my mother. That was how merciful Krishna was. He entered the womb of Uttara Mata to protect Parikshit Maharaj. So he's saying that I was the last remaining descendant. And despite the fact that I was just unborn, Krishna was so kind that he came into the womb of my mother and he protected me. And in that way, he protected the progeny, right, of the Kuru and the Pandava dynasty. Don't forget, even the Kuru dynasty was going to be wiped out, right? But Parikshit Maharaj was the last hope, and they were going to be wiped out by the fiery weapon of Ashokana. Then he says, Krishna appearing within and outside of this materially embodied living beings by his own potency, he has come in the form of eternal time. Krishna comes as Paramatma and Krishna comes as Virat Rupa. Where we are sitting, this material world is the Virat Rupa. But sitting within us is also Krishna as Paramatma. So he's saying that Krishna, you're so kind, you are Antaryami inside, but you're also sustaining this whole universe. Sometimes we take it for granted that we're able to come to the center, sit down, have prasadam. But all this is a manifestation of Krishna's mercy. It is. And this is what Parikshit Maharaj is feeling. And so he says, that Krishna, you come either as cruel death or you come in life itself. So kindly enlighten me by describing all his wonderful characteristics. This is how the whole pastime of Janmashtami begins. And I think it's a good way for us to start because we can also appreciate Krishna this way. So Bhagavatam tells us actually that even before Kamsa came, there were already demons and they were becoming too much. They were putting too much burden onto this material world. And Bhumi Devi went in the form of a cow and she was crying. And she went to see Brahmaji. And Brahmaji then called the Devatas. And the Devatas also expressed that this world was becoming too much because of the onslaught of demonic nature. So Brahmaji went to the edge of Svetadvip ocean. And you know how Brahma would meditate on Krishna. And he prayed very hard at the lotus feet of Krishna. And the Purusha Sukta prayers and the demigods, they chant these prayers and they all chanted these prayers. But at the end of all their prayers, there was nothing from Krishna. But Brahma sat down in a trance, Krishna book tells us, and he started praying. And Tene Brahma Hridaya Adhikave. You know the first verse in Bhagavatam, isn't it? In the first verse in Bhagavatam, he nicely stated that Krishna revealed Bhagavatam through the heart of Brahma. And so Brahma sat down in trance and he remembered Krishna. And in that way, the Lord spoke to him from inside. And the Lord told him that now I am fully aware that Bhumi Devi is in difficulty now. Do not worry. I am coming to this world. I will descend as I am. I will come as Bhagavan, right? I will come as the supreme original personality of Godhead. But now you tell the Devatas that because I'm coming and I'll be born in the Yadu dynasty, all of them should also make preparations to be born into this world also. Very important. All of you. In other words, all the Devatas, please come. All of you come and all of you be born. And bring your wives also, because your wives must also come and they must also be born into this world. So Krishna was making arrangements that everybody should come and everybody should be part of Krishna's pastime. And the word that's really nice there, that is stated actually, is Tat Priyartam. Krishna tells the Devatas and Brahma, when you come to this world, come not because you have to come. Come because you must please me. You see the point? So don't come to Gauranga Center because you have to come. Come because of Tat Priyartam. Don't come because of what to do, I have to make up attendance, isn't it? So I better come. No. Come because you want to please Krishna. When you want to come to please Krishna, Krishna will allow you to come next week again. When you come again next week to please him, he will allow you to come the following week. But if you keep not coming for the right reason, then next week your mind will give you some favorable arguments. I have this, I have that, I'm busy here, I'm busy there. What more can we be busy except to come and hear about Krishna? Right? It's very important. Very, very, very important. And we've told all our preachers also that you never have preaching programs on the day of our programs. So there's no excuse for anyone to say, oh, I'm preaching somewhere. You preach other days, but you come and hear about Krishna here. So that is the meaning of Tat Priyartam. See, in Krishna book, how specific this point is given. So then Krishna stopped speaking and Brahma left. And now after that happened, Kamsa became too much. Bhagavatam says, of all the demon kings who overburdened Bhumi Devi, it was Kamsa who eventually became very difficult. He became very difficult. And when he became very difficult, then what happened was, right, immediately as Kamsa became very difficult, Bhumi Devi started crying, things became very, very unbearable for her, but the time was coming. The time was coming. So one day it is stated that Kamsa was in a very good mood because his sister Devaki had just been given in marriage to Vasudeva. Right? Vasudeva was the son of Surasena. Devaki's father was Devaka, also known as Ugrasena. And Kamsa was actually the son of Ugrasena. And Ugrasena was actually the king of the Yadu, Bhoja, Andhaka dynasties. Right? Surasena was actually the king of provincial Mathura district. So they were all of royalty actually. Right? So when this marriage came, it was very nice. And Kamsa, in a moment of great humility, right, he decided that he will take the chariot reins instead of a chariot driver, and he will ride. He will actually move the chariot. As he was doing that, an unembodied voice came out. And the voice said, Kamsa, you are a rascal and you are a fool. If someone calls you a fool, it's alright. They call you rascal, okay, there must be a reason. But you're a rascal and fool. That means it's very bad. Right? So they said that Kamsa, you are a rascal and you are a fool. Because you don't realize that the same sister you're so nicely riding for the marriage will be the same sister, right, whose 8th child will actually kill you. He will kill you. So when he heard that, right, of course, Kamsa became very upset. And when Kamsa became very upset, he thought, how can this be? This is not correct. So he got down, he took out his sword, and without hesitation, he was going to kill his own sister. Prabhupada writes in the purport that this is the behavior of what we call demonic persons. Right? Demonic persons have this tendency that for a while they may be very nice. But the moment their self-interest, Prabhupada writes, is compromised, then they will not hesitate to destroy anyone. This is a very important point. So therefore, Kamsa decided there and then that I must kill my sister. The moment he raised his sword, Vasudeva put his hand up and stopped him. Stopped him. And at that point of time when Vasudeva stopped him, Vasudeva had to think very quickly. Imagine the situation, how precarious it was. Bhagavatam tells us that Vasudeva knew that Kamsa was not a person to be trifled with. You cannot take him for granted because he's a dangerous person. So Vasudeva told him something that is very important. Vasudeva told him, why do you want to kill my sister, your sister now? First of all, she is your sister, right? Why do you need to kill her? There's no need to kill her. And do you not know that everyone who is born must die, right? In fact, those who are born, death is accompanying them. This is a very nice point. We don't think of it that way. The moment you're born, death is accompanying you. Yamaraj is your lifelong companion. He's always following you everywhere. And every day, Vasudeva said, you are dying. Supposing someone is 25 years old, they have died for 25 years. Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad, actually they have died for 25 years. You see the point? So, Vasudeva spoke in this way because he realized now that he was in a very precarious situation. Either you save his wife or immediately everything will go. So Vasudeva tried to impress upon Kamsa that why must you kill her when eventually she will die? And don't forget one other thing, Kamsa. You are going to be the heir to the entire dynasty of Andhakas, Vishnis, Pojas. Do you really, really want your reputation to go? Do you want to do that? Because if you do that, then nobody will look up to you and you will lose the respect of everyone. Now that was an important argument. Okay? Because Kamsa's nature reputation was important to him. Name and fame was very important to him. So then he began thinking carefully. If I kill her now, it will be a problem. People will not like me. And Vasudeva then told him something very important. He said, now, let's do this. Devaki is just getting married to me. The voice has said that the child to be born to kill you is the 8th child. So actually nothing has happened now. Think about it, nothing has happened now. By killing her, you will lose your reputation. Better let her live. Let us live as husband and wife. I promise you, every time a child is born, I will bring the child to you. And I will give you that child. And you can kill the child. That is the point Vasudeva said. You do with the child what you want. Now people may ask, why did Vasudeva do this? Prabhupada writes in the purport, Vasudeva was a wise person. He was extremely wise. He also knew one very important thing. He also understood this great thing. Prabhupada says, Vasudeva knew how to pacify a cruel person and how to forgive even the most bitterest of enemies. That was Vasudeva's quality. And that's the quality of a devotee. A devotee knows how to pacify even a person who's cruel. Even if people are harsh, we don't become harsh with them, but we know how to pacify them. That is the mark of a devotee. At the same time, even if there's an enemy whom we don't like, we also know how to forgive them. We don't keep it in our hearts. Anytime you keep something in your heart, Krishna is not there. He has just left. He has left. Always remember that. If you don't have space for Krishna, it's because you are keeping and holding grudges. And Vasudeva had no grudge. Kamsa had plenty, that's why there was no Krishna in the heart. Right? So you go back home. All of us should go back home and think, okay, how many grudges I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To that extent of grudges you have, that much square meters in your heart. No space for Krishna. No space for Krishna. It's a good exercise, And grudge doesn't mean, lifetime grudge. It can be today somebody came and told you something, now you're very angry with the person. Put down, that's a grudge. And that space, Krishna is not there anymore. So he said, I will do this. And my word is my word of honor. And Kamsa even recognized. Kamsa even knew that Vasudeva would never go back on his word. Imagine, even demons have respect for devotees. And so Kamsa said, all right, I accept that. And now you may go. Now people sometimes ask, who was this disembodied voice? If you read carefully Krishna book, Prabhupada writes that this disembodied voice was the voice of the Devas. It was the voice of the Devas, not Krishna. The Devas. Why? Because the Devas were too eager to come. They were too eager to come and serve Krishna. And they thought, my God, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is too long. Better we start now. And so he thought, let Kamsa begin. And so the Devatas did that out of enthusiasm. You may think this is crazy, but they did it out of enthusiasm. So then Kamsa became satisfied. All right, it's okay. Leave it now. Okay? You can just go. Now, Vasudev, true to his word, first child in the first year was born. And the child was Kirtiman. And the moment that happened, Vasudev took Kirtiman and brought him, eldest son, to Kamsa and said, I'm keeping my word. What kind of a person must he be? How powerful a devotee he must be to keep his word. He kept his word and he gave it to him. Now when he kept his promise, Prabhupada writes in the purport, a devotee who keeps his promise is a standard of character. That's why devotees must be reliable. If you say you're coming for service at 12, don't come at 12:05. You should be here at 12. That is the standard of your character. We take these things for granted, but Krishna sees everything. And Prabhupada, our Acharya, writes about these things in Bhagavatam. It's a very important principle. Not we just come in when we want, we do service when we want, we walk away when we want. No, we can't do that. Service means only if you're going to die, then you say, I'm just going to die, I'm sorry, I can't come for the service. Right? If you're not well, if you can't speak, if you have problems, if you have to do the service, you do the service. That is the standard of character. And because of that, you know what happened? Kamsa thought, no, actually it's alright. Since you are such a man of your word, and since the 8th child is going to trouble me, keep your child. So it's very interesting how sometimes Kamsa shows flashes of magnanimity and greatness, isn't it? What does that show us? It shows that every one of us has a little bit of demon and a little bit of deva, isn't it? We can choose to be demonic, or we can choose to be deva-like. If we are devotees, we will be exhibiting devata-like symptoms. But if our devotional service is compromised, we'll become more and more asuric in our behavior. That is very important. So Vasudeva kept his promise. They were great devotees of the Lord, Vasudeva and Devaki. They were actually eager, Prabhupada writes, to see Krishna coming. So even though they knew now, right? Prabhu, you can move forward a bit. Sorry. Just move forward. Squeeze a bit, that's all. So even though, right, they knew, it was very painful for Devaki Mata. It was painful for her that Kirtiman was going to die. But, this is very important, they had faith in Krishna. They knew that if Krishna wanted 7 children to perish, there was a reason. This is very important for us. What is that nice verse? 4:20-31 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Tvanmayada jana isha gandito yad anyat asha shtarita mano abuddha yadashare balahitam pita swayam tata tvam eva arhasina samihitum. The meaning is very beautiful. In there, Prithu Maharaj is praying to Krishna. He says, my Lord, due to your illusory energy, all living beings in this material world, they have forgotten their real constitutional position. And because of that, they are always desirous of material happiness. They are not looking for Krishna. They are looking for society, friendship, and love. Love in this material world. But now he says something very important. And this is the mood of Devaki and Vasudeva. Please do not ask me for some material benefits from you. But as a father, not waiting for his son's demands. A father knows his son very well. Before the son can demand for something, the father knows what is exactly important. So Prithu Maharaj is saying, just like a son not waiting, just like a father not waiting for the son's demands, does everything for the benefit of his son, please bestow upon me whatever you think is best for me. This prayer, Prabhu's Mataji's, you take back home, and every day you chant this prayer. If you chant this prayer, your mind will never speculate. And you will never have these, why this, why that, why this, why that, why not this, why not that. Because you will accept that this is Krishna's hand. It's very, very important. Vasudeva and Devaki, even though they were ready to give Kirtiman, but in their hearts, they had faith in Krishna. They realized that Krishna had a plan for the children, and so they were peaceful. So Kamsa said, never mind, keep your son Kirtiman, I'm alright. And Vasudeva and Devaki went back home, very happy. This is nice. Then Nardamuni came. And when Narada came to the palace, he came to see Kamsa. So Narada just doesn't go and see devotees. He also goes to see the demons. He goes everywhere because his association is so powerful. And Narada wanted to hasten the process of Krishna coming. So what did he do? He went to Kamsa and said, Kamsa, I don't think what you did was very intelligent. Right? Not very intelligent. Because actually, Krishna is so powerful that actually, do you know that it is by his arrangement that all the members of the Yadu dynasty are all devatas actually. They are your sworn enemies. And yet, they have already taken birth. And they are now growing up in preparation to receive the eighth child of Devaki. So when he said this, Kamsa began to feel overwhelmed with envy and with fear. And then Nardamuni gave the icing on the cake. In previous life, just for your information, you were actually a demon. Actually, I'm not surprised, isn't it? You were a demon. Your name was Karanini. And at that time, guess who killed you? Vishnu killed you. And now, he's going to kill you again. And Narada left. And Kamsa thought, this is very dangerous. Because that means I'm actually in mortal danger. I'm in big, big, big danger. So what should I do? So then Kamsa changed his mind. And he decided, let me pull. He arrested, he had messengers go, he arrested Kamsa, he arrested Vasudeva, he arrested Devaki, he put them in shackles, and he put them in the prison. And he took the first child that was already born, and he killed it. He killed it. And so Bhagavatam tells us, year after year, Vasudeva and Devaki did not live in a palace. Sometimes we have the mistaken notion that they were in the prison just before Krishna was born. Sometimes we think their prison term was just 1 year. But if you think about it, from the time of Kirtiman, year after year they had 7 children. 7 years they were in prison. 7 years in shackles and in chains, and they were in prison. And every time a child was born, every time Kamsa would come and he would kill the child. What was his reasoning? The disembodied voice had said 8 child, right? But after hearing Nardamuni, he thought Krishna is so powerful that he could say one thing and he can do another. He may just say 8 child is being born, but he could come as a 3rd child, maybe he'll come as 4th, maybe he'll come as 5th, maybe he'll come as 6th. So with Krishna, never take a chance. And therefore he started killing everyone. Bhagavatam tells us these 6 children were not random personalities. They were the children of Marichi. And Marichi was born from the mind of Brahma. Right? So actually these children, these 6 children, in previous times, they were actually the 6 sons of Marichi. And one time when Brahma, millions of years ago, when Brahma was at the point of creating this world, they were already born. And Brahma created this beautiful twilight, in Bhagavatam 3rd canto. And when he created twilight, she assumed the form. Twilight is normally seen as a female form. And she assumed the form of a beautiful maiden. And when she came as a maiden, when Brahma saw that his creation was so beautiful, he himself ran after the creation because he became so attracted to his own creation. But the 6 sons of Marichi did not see it that way. They thought, he created a woman, therefore it is his daughter. And therefore, how can Brahma run after his own daughter? And in that way, they offended Brahmaji. They offended Brahmaji. Now, the way we presented it to you, you will not feel anything offensive in your mind, because that is how Brahmaji was seeing the situation. But unfortunately, when our minds when mind is contaminated, it is ripe for criticism and for finding fault. That is why sometimes Prabhupada says, right, the 6 sons represent the 6 enemies of the mind. And these enemies, what are the 6 enemies? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. Right? These are all the enemies of the mind. Kama, Lobha, greed, lust, envy, right? What else? What else is there? Anger. So you can see all these 6 sons, they saw Brahma in a very negative manner. We should be very careful. When we see a devotee doing something, please don't be the judge of something. If you're not sure why a devotee is doing something, you speak to an authority about the devotee. Let the devotee clarify it. Sometimes people do things for a reason. Why we are quick to judge them? It's very important. Very important. So the 6 sons, because of their offense, they were born into the womb of Devaki, so that they will be killed at the point of birth as punishment for how they offended a Param Vaishnava like Brahma. You see how dangerous it is? Very, very dangerous. So we should be very careful never to offend devotees. Even in our mind, Marichi's mind, even in mind, don't offend devotees. Please don't. Even in our dreams, we should not offend devotees. Very important. So now we understand the 6 children, right? One after the other they were killed. But Devaki Mata had faith in Krishna. Even though it pained her to see the children dying, she and Vasudeva consoled themselves. And they kept chanting and they kept remembering Krishna. And that's what we must do, Prabhu said Mataji, in difficult times. Husband, wives, we should learn from Vasudeva and Devaki. They are the perfect husband-wife. In difficult times, they did not stray away from each other. In difficult times, they came together and they put Krishna in the center. In material world, difficult times break families. Today, it's actually a trend. Many divorces in the material world happen when someone dies in the family. They become estranged. They cannot cope with it. This is all material product of civilization. But if you have Krishna in the center, even in the most difficult of times, we will be together. We will be united. And Vasudeva and Devaki showed it. And now the 7th child was going to come. Now when the 7th child was about to come, Krishna then told Yogamaya that this 7th child is a special child. Because this 7th child will be the plenary expansion of me. And he will be known as Sankarshan. He will also be known as Balaram. Because he is very powerful, Bala. And he brings immense pleasure to his devotees, Ramana. And therefore he will be known as Balarama. Right? Now, at that point of time, Krishna now summoned his potency. Krishna has variety of potencies. But a most powerful potency that he has is Yogamaya. So he told Yogamaya, you will come now and you will go to Vraja. There is Rohini. And Rohini is one of the wives of Vasudeva. She's hiding right now in Vrindavan. Like that, many members of the family, Prabhupada writes, they were hiding. Some of them were even hiding in caves in the mountains for fear of Kamsa. So then he said, let Yogamaya, you go now to Vraja and you see Rohini. And when you see Rohini there, you transfer Devaki's child, who will be born soon, to the womb of Rohini. Do the transfer. So Yogamaya was going to effect that very important transfer. And then Krishna told Yogamaya, because you are engaging now and serving me in this most important pastime, you will then later come as my sister. And when you come as my sister, the whole world, because of your service to me, will worship you. They will worship you in different forms. They will know you as Ambika. They will know you as Durga. They will know you as Kali. They will know you with so many different names. But you will always be Yogamaya. You will be Yogamaya. So Prabhupada writes in purport, the relationship between Yogamaya and Krishna is supreme power, right? Supreme powerful, and power. Supreme, powerful, and power. And Prabhupada writes supreme with capital S, P, powerful with capital P, power he puts small p. Because power is always subordinate to the person who wields the power. Isn't it correct? You may have power, but power in the hands of the person, that person is more powerful than power itself. Krishna is that person. Okay? So it's a very important point. And then he said, after that transfer is done, I will appear in my Sat Ashwarya Purna, in my 6 opulences. And when I appear that way, I will then rid the world of Kamsa. So I will come then. And you will be born as the daughter of Yashoda and Nanda. This is how it will be. So to the external world, it appeared like the 7th child of Devaki Mata was miscarried. Right? In fact, Prabhupada writes in the purport, in the translations, that when the Devatas heard, when the citizens heard that Devaki Mata had miscarried, they said, alas, alas, how unfortunate is Devaki. 6 children had died. The 7th miscarried. They saw Devaki as the object of misfortune. But Devaki and Vasudeva saw themselves as the object of great fortune. So whenever we are in difficulty, Vaishnavas never see it as misfortune. Difficulties present opportunities for us to remember Krishna. And therefore they are never sources of misfortune for us. For devotees, the source of misfortune is forgetfulness of Krishna. That is the source of misfortune. When we cannot remember Krishna. And normally we can't remember Krishna when everything is materially very good. Isn't it true? Isn't it true? When things are going fine, Krishna's on the back burner. Okay, Krishna, I'll just apply for leave from Bhakti for a few days and enjoy myself for a while. Then suddenly when things go wrong, quickly I'll come back to Bhakti because I need Krishna. You see? So for the world, Devaki was so misfortunate. But Devaki understood it was not a miscarriage. Not a miscarriage at all. And now the time was coming for Krishna to appear. It is so nicely stated in Krishna book, the time when Krishna was going to come. Very beautifully stated. It is in the 10th canto, 3rd chapter, and the verses are 1 to 5. And you will see how beautifully it is stated here. Thereafter, at the auspicious time, Sri Shuddha Uvacha, we can chant it together. Sri Shuddha Uvacha, Atha Sarva Gunapeka, Kala Parama Shobhana, Yadevachana Janmaksham, Santaksha Brahmatayakam, Disha Prasaido Bhaganam, Nirmalo Duranodayam, Mahi Mangala Bhuvishta, Pura Rama Prajakara, Nadya Prasanna Shaliha, Virajara Durashriya, Vijari Kula Sannara, Stavaka Vadarajaya, Vavavayu Sukha Sparsha, Punya Gandha Suchiri, Agnayascha Vijarinam, Shanta Statra Samindita, Manasi asan prasannani, sadhunam asuradruham, jayamane chare tasmin, neru dhundurvayasam. See the translation. Thereafter, at the auspicious time for the appearance of the Lord, the entire universe was surcharged with all the qualities of goodness, beauty and peace. The constellation Rohini appeared, as did stars like Ashwini. This is important. They were not supposed to be there. Rohini was not supposed to be there. Ashwini was not supposed to be there. But because Krishna is coming and they are auspicious, they also came. So never think that Krishna's birth is auspicious because the stars were aligned. No! Krishna's birth is auspicious because Krishna came. And then the stars aligned themselves. You see the point? Let's continue. The sun, the moon, and the other stars and planets were very peaceful. All directions appeared extremely pleasing, and the beautiful stars twinkled in the cloudless sky. Decorated with towns, villages, mines, and pasturing grounds, the earth seemed all auspicious. The rivers flowed with clear water, and the lakes and vast reservoirs, full of lilies and lotuses, were extraordinarily beautiful. In the trees and green plants, full of flowers and leaves, pleasing to the eyes, birds like cuckoos and swarms of bees began chanting with sweet voices for the sake of the demigods. A pure breeze began to blow, pleasing the sense of touch and bearing the aroma of flowers. And when the Brahmanas engaging in ritualistic ceremonies ignited their fires according to Vedic principles, the fires burned steadily, undisturbed by the breeze. Isn't that amazing? There was breeze, but the fires were not disturbed. Thus, when the birthless Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was about to appear, the saints and Brahmanas, who had always been disturbed by demons like Kamsa and his men, felt peace within the core of their hearts, and cattle drums simultaneously vibrated from the upper planetary systems. How beautiful, how beautiful. And therefore, Krishna at that point of time decided to manifest himself. Prabhupada says, a very important point, that when Krishna started coming, at that point of time, as we said, nothing was auspicious because Kamsa was there. In fact, the moon was waxing. It is Janmashtami, it's not Purnima. But at the time when Krishna was coming into this world, it is stated that the waxing moon became so happy and joyous that the waxing moon became a full moon. She became full because she was so happy. She was so happy. The other argument the Acharyas say is, Krishna traditionally is born in the Lunar dynasty, right? And because he's in the Lunar dynasty, special privileges will come to him. Even the moon is prepared to obey Krishna. And so waxing moon became a full moon. Full moon. So many things changed just because of Krishna. And therefore, Prabhu said, Mataji, so many things in our lives can change just because of Krishna. We can be disturbed, but as soon as we allow Krishna to appear in our lives, that is the meaning of Janmashtami. Janmashtami means that Krishna actually appears in our lives. Now, how did Krishna appear? This is very important. Bhagavatam tells us, Krishna, the super soul of all living entities, he first appeared in the mind of Vasudeva. At the time when he was coming, he entered the mind of Vasudeva. Why the mind? Because the mind by nature is the most difficult thing to control. And therefore Krishna first gave mercy to Vasudeva by entering into his mind with full opulences. And the moment he came that way, Vasudeva captured Krishna in his mind. But he immediately transferred Krishna into his heart. Why did Vasudeva put Krishna into his heart? Because Vasudeva realized that the mind by nature is not the resting place for Krishna. So our mind must always be aligned to our hearts. If we hear Krishna and we think of Krishna, then we cement what we think in our hearts. That's why from the mind, he was transferred into his heart. And Prabhupada writes very nicely that the moment Krishna got transferred into the heart of Vasudeva, Krishna awakened his consciousness to devotional service. This awakening of consciousness is the appearance of Krishna. This awakening of consciousness is Janmashtami. You see the point? Janmashtami is not only the physical appearance of Krishna, it is the awakening of consciousness of Krishna in our hearts. Very, very important. So now Vasudeva had already had Krishna in his heart. And Bhagavatam said because Krishna was now in the heart of Vasudeva, Vasudeva began glowing. He was just glowing. The whole prison was dark, but Vasudeva was like a natural light in the prison. And Devaki Mata became very excited because she could see now that Vasudeva had Krishna. He had Krishna. And now Vasudeva decided, now is the time for me to transfer Krishna. Just like you move, just like in normal world, a baby is born when the father transfers semen into the mother receives semen in the egg, it is fertilized and a child is born. That is material conception. But in spiritual conception of Krishna, it is very transcendental. First of all, the devotee receives Krishna in his mind and transfers him to his heart. And then Vasudeva transferred Krishna from the core of his heart into the mind of Devaki Mata. And from the mind of Devaki Mata, he therefore brought Krishna into her mind. And that process, Prabhupada writes, is by Diksha, initiation. That's the thing. So in other words, Vasudeva gave Devaki Krishna by initiating. That is what is actually this is how Devaki Mata received Krishna. And Prabhupada writes so nicely there that unless we are initiated by the bona fide spiritual master, who always carries within him, within his heart, Krishna, one cannot acquire the power to carry Krishna. What a nice point. We cannot acquire the power to carry Krishna, to put Krishna in the core of our hearts until we receive Krishna from the spiritual master. Now do we understand why initiation is so important? Because Devaki Mata herself received Krishna by being initiated by Vasudeva. And that's the way for us all to receive Krishna, by initiation, by initiation. And now Devaki began glowing. And when she began glowing, right, the Devatas became so excited. They all looked at Devaki Mata and they thought, this is amazing. Krishna is here now. He's about to come. The eighth child, the disembodied voice, remember? 8 years of waiting, finally about to happen. They were very, very, very pleased. But Prabhupada goes on to say, having received the form of Krishna, both Vasudeva and Devaki, after receiving the form of Krishna, they sustained the form of Krishna in their heart by constantly chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that is how they sustain Krishna. You know, how do mothers sustain the child in their womb? By eating, by nutrition. What is the nutrition that Devaki Mata took? The chanting of the holy names and remembering Krishna. You see how important it is? And therefore, in that way, she preserved and sustained his presence in the core of her heart. And that, Prabhupada said, was sufficient to carry Krishna. So please remember, Krishna was not carried within the womb of Devaki. There was no discharge of semen, Prabhupada writes. And Krishna, to say Krishna was in the womb of Devaki is wrong. The Acharyas emphatically state that Krishna was in the heart of Devaki. Please remember that. He was in the heart of Devaki. Very important point. And she began glowing. Not only was she glowing, but she was jubilant. She was just happy. She was pure and she was smiling. That's why how much you smile is a good indication of how Krishna conscious you are. Huh? It's very important. I know everybody says, oh Prabhu, devotee must be dhira. You know, he must always be sober. Sober doesn't mean he cannot smile. Don't be stingy with your smile. You know, we're already stingy with our money. Right? That is already happening. Don't be stingy with your smile. Nobody is taxing you to smile. Just smile. When devotees meet other devotees, what is wrong in smiling? What is wrong in smiling? You know, that's very, you know, if you're all not smiling at me, I will stop the class now. It's a practical thing. Everybody just looks at me in a dhira way. Very dangerous. But if you all are smiling, I feel okay, I can go on a little bit more. So Devaki Mata was smiling because Krishna was in her. And Vasudeva was also smiling. But where they were? They were in a prison. They were in chains. They were hardly eating good food. But they were smiling. And the prison just didn't become a prison anymore. Isn't it? So it doesn't matter where we are. Krishna was born of all places in this world. He appeared in this world in a prison. In a prison. But it didn't matter to devotees. In that way, if you think about it, Gauranga Center is more luxurious than a prison, isn't it? Right? We got aircon, AC is there, prasadam is there. Definitely we should smile. That's my point. We should be able to smile. And at that point of time, the Devatas started coming, invisible to Devaki, and they started offering beautiful prayers to Krishna. There's a whole chapter in the second chapter, 10th canto, right? But one prayer I want to share with you, and then we can wind down the pastime. That prayer is in 10 to 26. Let's chant it together. Very nice prayer. When you have time, you should study this, because if you study this prayer, you will understand all the purposes for which Krishna is here is actually found in this prayer. It encapsulates everything and why Krishna is here. Very nice. Let's chant together. Satyavratam Satyapuram Visatyam Satyasya Yonim Vinam Satye Satyasya Satyam Rikasatya Netram Satyatmakam Tvam Sharanam Prapanna. Let's do it one more time. Satyavratam Satyaparam Visatyam Satyasya Yonim Vinam Satye Satyasya Satyam Rikasatya Netram Satyatmakam Tvam Sharanam Prapanna. See the translation. This is what the Devatas sing to Krishna. Oh Krishna, oh Lord. I'm just paraphrasing, you can see the translation there. First thing, Krishna never deviates from his vow. Isn't it true? Never deviates from his vow. Because he is perfect and his vow can never be stopped. This is the characteristic of Krishna. If he takes a vow to protect his devotee, even at the cost of breaking his own vow, he will do it. And he did it for Krishna as Ratangamani. You remember? If Krishna says he will offer protection, he will never deny protection. Very important. Second point, Krishna is present in the three phases of creation: maintenance and annihilation. This is very important. Why is this important? If we know Krishna is present everywhere, we will see the hand of Krishna. You see the point? If you understand that Krishna is in creation, annihilation and maintenance, at any stage of your life, any junction of your life, anything that happens, you will see the hand of Krishna. This is the second truth. The next point, unless one is completely truthful, this is very important, is it there? Unless one is completely truthful, one cannot achieve your favor, which therefore cannot be delivered to hypocrites. Powerful point, isn't it? Therefore, we cannot be hypocritical in front of Krishna. Don't show one face and then try and be another face. No, Krishna sees everything. Then, Krishna is Antaryami. He is the active principle in every ingredient of the creation. Remember Parikshit Maharaj said, Krishna is in Virat Rupa and he is Paramatma. There isn't a place that Krishna is not found. Any corner of this place, Krishna is also there. Any corner of your heart, Krishna is also there. Any corner of your mind, Krishna is also there. Fifth principle, Krishna is equal to everyone. Therefore, his instructions apply to everyone. Isn't that wonderful logic? If Krishna is Sama Sarva Bhuteshu, if he is equal to everyone, therefore what is the implication? The implication is his instruction is equal to everyone and is equally applicable to everyone. When you study Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, it is not enough to just study the prayer. After you study the prayer, you have to understand what is the import of that. How does that apply to you? This is how the prayer applies. If Krishna is equal to everyone, people say, so what? The implication is if he is equal to everyone, his instructions is applicable to everyone. Everyone. Very important point. Sixth principle, Krishna is the beginning of truth. And the last principle, we surrender to you. Prapanna. If you don't read any other prayers of the Devatas, you just take this prayer. And all other prayers are found in this prayer. And so we did a quick summary. And now, right, Krishna, the auspicious time has come. As we said just now, And we went. And the auspicious time was so beautiful. The moon became full. Rohini, Ashwini, they all came. And Krishna now appeared. How did he come? Did he come through labor? No. Was it 9-10 hours? Devaki Mata sweating it out. Devaki Mata just asking for an epidural because the pain is too much. No. No, nothing like that. Was Krishna in breech position? Okay, we have to turn him around now, he's not coming out properly. Oh, I'm sorry, Devaki Mata, we have to do cesarean now. Nothing like that. Nothing. Because Krishna came from the heart. From the heart. Oh, by the way, Satyadar Prabhu has a baby girl. And she was born at 6:38 p.m. on Balaram Purnima. Amazing, huh? Very nice, very nice. I just was reminded of how Kasturi Mataji must have gone through the birth and how now Devaki Mata spared so much of problems. My Guru Maharaj said, when you hear how Devaki Mata gave birth to Krishna, how much money she saved from the hospital and the doctors and the medical bills and the complications and everything. She was very peaceful. Why? Because she was devotee. Because she was devotee. So Krishna came from the heart of Devaki Mata. And Prabhupada writes there, when he came into this world, he appeared glowing, and he was in his four-armed form of Vishnu. And he came like a light in the dense darkness of the night. It was very dark, Even though there was a moon, it was still considered very dark. It's simultaneously dark, but there is a moon. Cannot understand it, isn't it? But with Krishna, it's always like that. So never regard Krishna's appearance, right, as ordinary. It is not ordinary. What is that verse? 4:9? Janma, karma, chame, divyam. Evam yo vedi tattva. Krishna, his appearance, his activities, his appearance, his activities, his transcendental nature. If we really understand that it is transcendental, then when we leave our body, we will never come back to this world again. So if today, just give me another 10 minutes, by 6:45, if we are all convinced that Krishna's appearance is transcendental, we will all go back to Krishna. We will. It will happen. And we have to say this every day. We have to remind ourselves every day. We take it for granted. We've heard this verse so many times. They just want to encourage us. Actually, we won't do that. Just for encouragement, like how a child, you do very well. Actually, do it well, but doesn't matter. No. Shlokas are not meant for just, restless and whimsical encouragement. No. If you really accept tonight in your heart, after hearing this class, if you have read Bhagavatam and you really accept Krishna, you have come through the heart of Devaki Mata. You are transcendental. I leave my life in your hands. You go back home to God. You go. Now to end today's point, we must see it from three different angles. Two different angles. What was Vasudev's reaction when Krishna came? And what was Devaki Mata's reaction? And then after that, what happened? Then the pastime will wind down. Now, when Vasudeva saw Krishna in four-handed form, he was struck with wonder. Why? Because the four-handed form of Vasudeva, of Vishnu, is Vasudeva's family deity. So for him, right, it was an affirmation. Krishna, you have affirmed that it is you, because you have come as my Ishta Devata. So Bhagavatam says, he became very fearless. He became fearless, and he was also glowing, because his heart was full of Krishna. And he mentally offered 10,000 cows immediately as an offering to all the Brahmanas. You may think, what did he do? He's in the jail. What is he doing? But he mentally offered because of his devotion to Krishna. Right? That doesn't mean that now you all mentally offer $100 more. I'm giving Jairo $100, but now, Guru, I have just heard from Bhagavatam that it's very possible that I can offer with mine. So I'm offering $1,000 a month to Gita Radio Society for Jagannath, but it is all from my mind. Srinivasa Prabhu will say, that is very good, but you have to be in shackles and chained in a prison, and then you make the offering. will accept it. It's not the case, right? So please remember that. So now what happened? Vasudeva became very fearless and he was so happy and mentally he offered. Now what was Devaki Mata's reaction? Devaki Mata was a bit different. She was afraid of Kamsa. And she's a mother, so she's protective of Krishna, right? Mothers have that great strong protection. So she told Krishna in very simple terms, this is all very nice, but please, you just become a child. Okay, right? I'm happy that you're like this, but you just become a child. Now, Prabhupada writes extensively quoting Acharyas here. He says that Krishna came as Vishnu because demons don't believe that he's Supreme Personality of Godhead. Demonic, faithless persons, they would just say he was just a baby. He just came out looking like a baby. But when he came out looking like someone who never can be an ordinary person, at least people will know that he is God. That's one point. But there was another reason also. Another reason is because Krishna wanted to remind Devaki and Vasudeva, which he will speak now, right, that actually I have come to you in 2 previous lives. And I came as Vishnu, Devaki Mata, just to remind you that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there's always a reason why he takes this form, you see. And it's important to understand it and explain it to people, right? That's the reason. But Krishna is the son of the mother. And when he heard, and when he saw Devaki Mata so fearful, Kamsa is going to come, he became a transcendental, beautiful infant, the way that we have seen him, right? So beautiful. Now, Prabhupada writes here about Devaki's fearfulness. Prabhupada says Devaki Mata represents bhakti and Kamsa represents material association. Devotees always fear material association because they know when you are in the association of materialists, it is easy to forget Krishna. That fear is not a fear which is dilapidating. It is not a fear that weakens us. It is a fear that grounds us on the ground. So that we don't become too proud to say, I can just walk into our neighbor, the 2 karaokes there, sit down, speak Krishna consciousness Monday to Friday, and come here and become devotee. We wouldn't advise that. Because you may not be able to do it. Yamuna Mataji, very famous disciple of Prabhupada, they were going everywhere to chant Krishna conscious. They were doing Nam, Harinam, And one day they went to a pub, and Prabhupada waited up for them. And when they came back, Prabhupada said, why did you go there? They said to chant the holy name. But when she described how the pub was, Prabhupada said, no, I'm very fearful of all of you going there. Don't go there. That's what Devaki Mata was saying. That's the point. That devotees should fear material association. Because when you are fearful of something, you are alert to it. Am I right? When you are fearful of something, you are alert to it. You will avoid it. Because you know it's not good for you. So do not think it as a weakness. It is actually the fact that our life should not be spoiled by material association. Prabhupada writes in the purport, so nicely. He says, in the purport of 10.2.6, a pure devotee is always fearful of material existence. No one knows what will happen next. For one may be here, or one may have to change his body at any moment. Knowing this fact, a pure devotee acts in such a way that he will not have his life spoiled by being obliged to accept another body and undergo the tribulations of material existence. This is bhayam, fear. Everyone should be alert and fearful of material existence. Krishna is always alert to protecting his devotees. He's very kind, he's very affectionate, but the devotee must not take this material existence for granted. Very important. So Devaki Mata's fear is very instructive for us. And now what was Krishna's reaction? Krishna became very pleased with Vasudeva and Devaki, and he spoke to them. He said, in the last 2 births, because of your great penance, you came as Krishna, Diti and Kashyap, and I came as Bhanudev. For all rid, Bhumi Devi, of all these Arisasuras and and Agasuras and all the other asuras who are going to come. He's going to do that. And so Krishna was born. He came into this world and he grew up in Vrindavan. And Devaki Mata and Vasudev, they lived the rest of their life in Mathura. But they lived always remembering Krishna. How much we must be grateful to them for bringing Krishna into this world. And how much we must be grateful to Srila Prabhupada for bringing Krishna into Bhagavatam and for making him alive to us. This is Janmashtami. Jai Shri Krishna Janmashtami Maho Maho Sarva ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srila Gurudeva ki Jai. Ananta Gauri Vaishnavinda ki Jai. Nidai Gaura Premananda. Jai. I'm sorry, my throat has been so bad. You must have been getting me croaky. Is there any, I can take one question, if anyone wants. Mataji, you have a question? Yes.
I want to know why, if Kamsa born in a royal family, means why is called demon?
Yes. Why is Kamsa born in a royal family but he was called a demon? Because a demon can be born in a royal family. It is the behavior that makes someone a demon. So someone could be born in a poor family and be a demon. Could be born in an aristocratic family, be a demon. Bhaumasura, parents, Mataji, was actually Varaha and Bhumi Devi. His father was Varaha, but he was a demon. So you can become a demon if your behavior is not right. So we can wear dhoti kurta, tilak, and we can wear saris. We can even put tilak, but if our behavior is demon, then Krishna will consider that demon and not devotee. That's a very good question. Okay, we will. Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, sorry. When you were narrating the past time, I just had an observation about Kamsa and Vasudev, and Devaki as well. So Kamsa and Devaki were brother sisters. So she had natural affection for her, and they were actually driving the chariot.
Yes.
And Kamsa knew Devaki from her childhood age.
Yes.
Right. And Vasudeva and Devaki were definitely not a love marriage, so they were not knowing each other. Right? So maybe Vasudeva knew Devaki maybe 3-4 hours or maybe a few hours before. Right? So when the oracle happened, the announcement happened, right? And then Kamsa took Naty's sword to kill Devaki. In one way, just a contrasting observation.
Yes.
Kamsa, he actually forsake his entire relationship,
Yeah.
for his life,
Yeah.
and he tried to kill Devaki at that time, right?
Yes.
All his childhood, and he was so much affectionate that tears were coming down from his eyes, and this,
Yeah.
in a moment he just switched that personality, and Vasudev, he just knew Devaki from maybe a few hours or maybe a few days, right? And he actually put his life at risk to save Devaki.
Very good point.
Right. So, and another thing, Prabhu, that as a husband, he knew that he's not that strong enough because he did not put a fight.
Yeah.
Right. He just tried to first speak philosophically by on the body level, then on mental level, then on ego level,
Yes.
and finally he gave him assurance, and then he tried to. Just the observation, Prabhu, about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. No, it's very true. It shows us one thing, that family relations count for nothing if self-interest is in the center of our transactions. That's your point.
Yeah, and then he actually knew that for next 8 years at least he will, in a prison, but he still put that life at stake.
Yeah. That's what he did. So really, being true to our duty is a higher principle than just being born into a family. We may not know someone, but if our duty is to protect them as husband, wife, as leaders, as supporters, then that duty overrides the fact that we know each other even personally. That is a very important thing. Thank you, Prabhu. Now we will have, yes, Prabhu.